Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I am so happy that you have chosen to be here. We are just brushing up right against Christmas, and I know that you all have 57 things on your to-do list before midnight, so I really do want to honor you for the time that you're spending with us. You made a great choice because tonight our guest speaker is my good friend, Yvonne Litza from, I always say from the Chicago area. I know that's, what's your town?
Crete.
Crete, thank you.
We're just south of Chicago.
Okay, not too far. Very good. But south enough, far enough that she has horses. So that's got to be a little ways south.
Yeah, we're not in the city limits. We're not even in Cook County, so that helps us.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I have enjoyed Yvonne ever since the first time I met her, and both you and your husband Wayne are an absolute delight and just add a rich vibrancy to the Young Living Diamond community that I really rather enjoy. So I will just say that this woman knows far more about oils and horses and oils and dogs and probably lots more than I could even dream of. So we're certainly not afraid to use oils on our pets, but she brings kind of the legitness about all of this because she has so much more experience. Exactly. So I am going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute myself. Take it away, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh my God, it is so my honor. And to tell everybody, honestly, guys, I'm working hard to stay diamond so I can go hang with Skyla in April. I kid you not. I'm like, we met on the diamond trip last year. This is one of, if anybody's working for diamond, I think it's an honest incentive to get there because you meet the coolest people on any of these recognition trips. So I love Skyla. I mean, you guys are so blessed to have her as a leader because she's amazing. And I'm not going to take up a lot of time because you guys do. I'm probably going to demystify really using oils on animals because I really keep it quite simple when I teach anybody I meet about oils on animals. And I'll tell you why, because I'm kind of a simple person. I don't like things complicated. And one thing I've learned of I won't say my age, but all the years I've had animals don't like complicated things either. They don't understand complications. They don't understand 62 different things. So keeping it simple is the best way to work with animals. But I'm to give you a little reason why Skyla might offer for me to come on and chat with you guys is that I've been around animals all my life. I've born and raised in farm town in Indiana, been around dogs, cats, horses, cows, pigs, goats, everything my entire life. My husband and we met later in life, and we met about 5 years ago through Match.com, right? And he saw, I checked that I had dogs and I had cats, and it said there's this other box, and it said other. And he's going, if he had known what other could all encompass, he would have never clicked. So, because at that time, other incorporated chickens and ducks, and I even had a cow at that point.
Nice.
And oh my gosh, cutie. She was an awesome cow. She had horns it doesn't even fit in the screen. Her horns were amazing. Dangerous. I had to use the oils after working with her. We didn't actually have to use the oils a lot on her, but those horns were dangerous. But what I've learned, I've been with Young Living since 2001. My sister got me into Young Living and said, you really need to use these oils. And I kind of came in and said, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I wasn't really overly excited. At that point in my life, I had just stopped working at the racetrack. I've I'm a horse enthusiast. I've worked in pretty much a lot of different aspects of the horse industry. And I had come off the racetrack. I was an exercise rider and a vet tech for several years on the track, as well as I managed a breeding and training thoroughbred farm down in southern Illinois for a while. So I'd come out of a fairly standard horse background, right? The vets, I knew my vets very, very well, and they got paid a lot of money because, when you have that kind of horses in your life, you tend to just spend a lot of money on vet care. You guys are animal owners. I see puppies here. So you guys know that, vets are part of our life. And what we're going to talk about is not going to negate that tonight. It's just going to help your pet, be a little bit healthier at home, hopefully. So when I came into Young Living, I wasn't necessarily looking for even a cure or options. I just came in, and I kind of backed into it because I was I thought a very good pet owner, and I took my dogs in for their shots all the time. And I had a 10-pound Bichon. If anybody's familiar with Bichons, they're very much like poodles, very small. And she was like the light of my life. She was a little rescue my sister found on the streets of Chicago, literally a 10-pound dog on the back streets of Chicago. It was not a good thing for her. And so she was pretty sick when we got her. And this was long before we got into Young Living. This was probably mid-1990s. And so she was, standard care. And as she got older in life, she got cataracts. And the cataracts started and I took her to, believe it or not, there's actually eye specialists for dogs. And I took her to an eye specialist, and they put her on a couple medications. I'm not going to name them. But they put her on a couple medications, and the cataracts pretty much just dried up, and she couldn't see very well, but she was a little dog. She was a lap dog. And so we didn't really worry about it until one time after I picked up her medications. She'd been on the medications for about 6 months. I picked up the medication, and I was driving home. Don't do this, but I was driving home, sat at a stoplight, because of course we didn't have phones back then. I pulled out the side effects, right? That list that's, 2 pages long. And I was reading through, and it said on there, don't leave animals on long term, causes liver failure. That's what the side effect said. It didn't even say could cause. It said don't leave animals on long term, causes liver failure. And I kind of I'm like, for horses in the horse world, 6 months is long term. And so I went back a couple weeks later when she had a checkup with the vet, and I said, why do we still have her on this? Her eyes have atrophied and she seems fine. And the vet's like, well, I think she's just old and it would just be good for her. I'm like, well, that's not a good enough reason. And the real clincher was one of those things that, one of those moments that you just kind of have to make a decision is about 2 or 3 months later, she died of liver failure.
Oh.
And so that was the turning point for me, right? Everybody has a story like something, hopefully not like that, but everybody has a story about, coming into Young Living. That's it for me. That was like, okay, wait a minute. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, and I ended up not taking the best care of my dog. And for me, my dogs are like my babies. I mean, hopefully you guys have kids and animals. And so, our dogs are our babies. And so I let my baby down. And that's when I decided I needed to start researching. So I came into Young Living not really at all thinking much about how these could change animals' lives. And then that threw me headlong into research. And I became a research addict. I just started going, okay, if these things, and I came in a little bit skeptical, I'm a little bit left brain. I came in going, okay, if these things are that great, why don't I know about them? And so I started doing a ton of research, and I started realizing, these stories are true. We just haven't heard them yet. And that's when I became an advocate for teaching about the oils. What I started to realize, though, or the beautiful part about working with animals, I think even because I learned about oils through animals. Most people learn about oils through humans and then change it, but I did this, everything's backwards with me. I came in and I learned about oils with animals. And the beautiful thing is, okay, I'm looking at some puppies here. You guys know that our puppies cannot read the names on these bottles, right? I can't hold up a bottle of Clarity to my little schnoodle and say, hey, this is going to make you think clearer, right? There's no placebo effect. And when you come into using these products on animals and you see the effects, there's just no doubt in it. There is no room for question because you start to see how they work. So I came into it kind of as a skeptic for me, but it didn't last long because the animals taught me really quick.
Wow.
And so when I started working with the animals, I came in through that route and then, started working with people after the animals. So I never had a hang up of going from how do I work with humans to how do I work with animals. So what I realized when I did that, most of the way I teach how to work on animals is how many people on here just have our two-legged kids at home? We have got moms on here. You just have the two-legged babies at home. When I work with animals, I work with them the same way you work as with your kids, right? Less is more. The number one rule when working with animals, less is more. You can always add drops. Subtracting is a little hard once it gets in the fur. So if you can always add drops. So start off with less is more. And because they don't have the speech pattern, right? They talk to us a lot of ways, but not through words. We have to be very cognizant of what we see and how we watch them react to things. And because of that, it creates a great bond with using oils with your animals. It's an amazing way to actually bond with your animals. So when you start working with your animals at home, just start out slowly. There are a few rules of thumb, and this is probably a refresher course, but there's a few rules of thumbs just to remember when you work with animals. The first thing is, one of the reasons the oils are so much more potent using them on animals versus using them on us. Couple reasons is because if you look at the olfactory system, and I've looked up as many animals as I can think. Every one of them have exponentially greater number of neurons and blood vessels that are in their olfactory system. The least of them would be rodents with just a couple 100 times more neurons and receptors in their olfactory system, up to horses, which have thousands, just absolutely thousands and thousands more receptors and neurons in their olfactory systems than we do. So when you open up, I have a bottle of peppermint here. So when you open up that bottle of peppermint, I can smell it from probably about 6 inches away, right? And I've been oiling for a long time, so I don't have a super sensitive nose, right? I can smell it. My dog, actually, she's over about 12 feet away. As soon as I opened this bottle, she looked over like, what's that over there? Animals can smell these so much quicker. And for every sniff that they get hundreds more molecules out of it than you and I do. So you and I exhale some of the oils that we take in. It just happens, right? That's oxygen exchange in our lungs. So some of it comes in, some of it you'll inhale, some of it you won't. Animals will receive a greater quantity for every sniff that they take out of that bottle. So that's the number one thing to remember is they get a bigger quantity even just through inhalation. Now the other thing is, and I did a lot of research on this one because there's actually a bit of controversy on this a couple months ago. And we've always taught that animals absorb oils better through the skin because they have bigger hair follicles, right? The shaft of the hair basically takes that oil subcutaneously. The oil gets up on that shaft and follows it and goes deeper into the skin because the hair follicles are bigger and more densely populated per square inch of your skin. A couple months ago, somebody started to say, hey, that's not really true. And so I'm like, okay, let's look this up and say, is this really true? And their hypothesis was that the epidermis, the top layer of the skin, is even thicker than ours, which that is true. It is. But that's not how the oil actually gets absorbed. The oil gets absorbed by going actually into the hair follicle. And so all of the evidence is really showing nowadays that it is actually absorbed quicker into animal skin than it does to even you and I. Now you guys, I'm sure you guys have used these oils. You've put a drop or two on your hand or on your arm or on someone's back. and it takes less than 60 seconds to absorb, right? And then it's pretty much in the system. It takes about half that to really absorb well. So what does this mean to you and I as animal owners? Well, whoever it was that had that beautiful shepherd up on her lap, right? A lot of times when you start thinking, oh my gosh, my dog has 2 to 3 inch, thick coat, and it's heavy, it's a double coat. We start to think, oh my God, I can drop a whole bottle on him and it won't even get to the skin. That's not true, especially when you let gravity work with you. The thicker the coat, all you have to do is you want to ruffle it, go against the way the coat naturally lays, and you drip it on. And then the oil will just follow that shaft straight into the skin and go subcutaneous. And it gets absorbed in really, really quick. Oh, now you want to help. This is my little model tonight. This is Mocha. She's all of 7 pounds. She's a year old. So we have Mocha. She is our smallest. She's actually even smaller than our cat. So I pretty much treat her like a cat. She is. Our cat's 10 pounds. She's 7. And they're not afraid of her at all. So I treat her like a cat. So all the cat things that we're going to talk about for cats tonight, I apply that to working with her. But now I've got a dog, you're probably about the size of that shepherd that was on earlier. He's about 70, 75 pounds. He's part Pyrenees. He's got that big, thick coat. I treat him like a small adult. So, not like a child. I don't dilute actually a lot of oils on him, but I treat him like a small adult. So I use about the oils that I would on a small adult, and the same type of safety, right? The really hot oils I dilute. The really soft oils like frankincense and lavender, I put on straight. So when you start to think of the animals that you're working with as various size humans, if you're used to and comfortable with working with oils on humans, it's actually really easy to equate that to dogs and cats and everything. So of course, the number one question is, of course, what about cats? Right? Everybody's worried about cats. And there is good reason. I am not a cat expert. I love cats. I've had cats all my life, but I don't pretend to be a cat expert. But I have a lady on my team who is the cat expert. Seriously, she's a cat expert. And she has done a ton of research. She's gone to the point where I love her dedication. She takes her cat, I don't think her cats appreciate it, but she takes her cat every 6 weeks for liver enzyme testing. Every 6 weeks. She takes them in, not because there's anything wrong, but because she has all of her cats on different various oils depending upon she does rescue. So all of them have come to her with different issues. And so she uses the oils to help support them. And so being that she wants to prove to her veterinarian, who still looks at her cross-eyed when she walks in, saying, I'm still doing these oils. And so she wants to prove to her veterinarian that these do not damage the liver. So there's a lot of research out there, you will find it conflicting. And I think Allie said it best. She said the best thing you can do is research online, and the worst thing you can do is research online. And I agree with that, because there's a lot of great information and there's a lot of misinformation. And what we always have to remember is what we learn when we go to convention or when you're on these trainings on Thursday night, is that when we start talking about using Young Living oils, we're talking about a different creature than most of the oils that are out there. I want people hesitant to use tea tree oil on their cats. I want people hesitant to go out and dump a bottle of wintergreen on their dogs. I really actually do want them hesitant. I want them coming to one of you guys and asking, how is it you do that and your animals are fine? Because I read. That's what we kind of want. We actually want that bad publicity out there. Don't chagrin it too much, because 90% of the products out there, if you use these on your cats, we're going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So encourage hesitation until you know the only thing those people are using are Young Living oils, because it is really actually very important to do that. So when I do go out and I just teach like at the large open areas where, people are just coming in, I can't necessarily teach about a lot of times I'll go, like I'm a presenter at Equine Affair. It's a big equine expo out on the East Coast. When I go and teach about oils, I am not allowed to sell as a presenter. So I have to go and represent essential oils. If you come and hear me at that presentation, you are actually going to hear me caution about diluting and not using wintergreen on horses, even though everybody knows my barn's chock full of wintergreen. But because I can't tell them you can only use this information if you're using Young Living, I have to stick with some standard guidelines. So as you're starting to work with cats, and if you're diffusing Young Living cats around if you're using diffusing Young Living oils around your cat, thank you.
Don't diffuse cats, please.
Wait a minute. I think I need to put a little more clarity on because, yeah, something ain't happening here. That's better. I get so excited about this. I get so excited. I'm going to get tongue-tied. Don't diffuse your cats, but diffuse the oils around your cats. Don't hesitate at all. Just let your cat come and go. You will find sometimes the cat will come and sit right under the diffuser. Sometimes they'll wrap around it. And sometimes they'll see you turn that diffuser on. They're like, nah, I'm out of here. Bye. Mm-hmm. Respect it. Either way, animals are so much more instinctive than you and I are. Animals rely on their sense of smell to not only, warn them when there's a predator coming, but they hunt out their food sources and their medicines in nature through their sense of smell. And so when they smell those chemical constituents, because trust me, they know what's in there. They got a nose like Gary Young. When they smell those chemical constituents in there, they're like, their body is just like drawn to it. There's this one great, and I tried to find it because I did want to share this one picture. A friend of mine had, one of those big, the old fashioned Aroma Completes, the big red square one, and she had all of her oils in there, and her cat is laying on all of the oils. It's just the most perfect picture, and it just tells you that, that cat was an older cat and needed a lot of support. He just like, I'm going to go sit right here because I'm going to get all of it. And then there's other cats that when you open the case, they're like out of here. The little 7-pound dog that I showed you, she will lick lavender out of my hand. She loves it. And you know what? I let her. Mm-hmm. However, when I open a bottle of lavender around my 75-pound dog, he's gone. He doesn't want any calming influence whatsoever. And I respect that. When you're working with animals, the one thing you want to do is respect their sense of smell. If they don't like the scent of something, don't force it in their nose. If you feel that they need to have that oil on them, put it on their butt. Put it up behind their ears, up on the pole of their head. Keep it away from their nose, and they'll be much happier. And of course, always dilute, because the more you dilute with the heavier, thicker, fatty oils, the better off they're going to like you. So I'm trying to think. I think that was the stuff that I wanted to make sure we covered. The big thing, hold on, one more back thing to the cats. Okay, so if you want to use oils, directly applying oils to the cats, right? You can absolutely do that. The caveat on cats comes to they lack an enzyme, a liver enzyme that breaks down phenols and certain ketones within essential oils. And we know they're not heavily prevalent in every essential oil, only certain ones, right? So they lack this enzyme. Interestingly enough, this is the same enzyme that actually helps them break down medications. So this is why cats are much more sensitive to any kind of medication, is because they lack this enzyme. There's a couple things. What do we know about enzymes? Enzymes, many of them can be derived from food sources. You guys have access to an amazing supplement that has a lot of benefits to it that also comes with live enzymes that I dare say every animal I have given it to loves it and has benefited from it. Ningxia Red. If you are at all concerned, let me put it this way, if you are at all concerned about using oils topically on your cats or internally, we'll talk about internally in a second, but if you're just even on topically, right, because everything you put on topically gets to us internally. So if you're worried, if you're concerned about using them topically, get some Ningxia Red out. Cats are a little fussy. check with your cat. Always do this before you actually need to, right? So offer a little bit diluted Ningxia Red in a saucer, just a little bit diluted. I diluted about 50-50 for the cats. They seem to like it that way. See if they'll just drink it. Some cats love it and will just lap it right up. My cat here, our house cat, she ain't touching it in a saucer, just not touching it. But if I put it in her wet food, she's all over it. So get to know how your animals like it and how they don't like it. And do this now when they don't necessarily need it, right? So do that ahead of time, kind of get familiar with them. And if you want to just, give them some Ningxia Red, that might do them some good too, right? Same thing does for us, does for our animals. Same. Beauty of it is, with a cat, you only need to do about maybe a half a dropper full. I mean, about 3 cc's. 3 milliliters is about normally what cats usually take. And if you do that, you're feeding them the enzymes that will allow them to better process any of the ketones or the phenols that are in the essential oils that you're working with. So there's a quick, easy way to do it. You can also do it by giving them, crushing up a couple or opening the capsules of the Essential Zyme 4. The little white capsule is the protein enzymes. So you can just pour that over their food. That has enzymes that will help them break it down. But I do find the Ningxia Red is the better for the liver enzymes. So you can actually help your cats process essential oils on every level better. Now, the one area I have complete difficulty giving cats is getting oils into them internally. Cats are they're just determined. I can get oils into any creature except cats. So if you can get them into them, God bless you. I can't. So, but I will honestly tell you, remember, cats are small. Most of the times I have found cats need less than a half of a drop, maybe more like a quarter of a drop of essential oils. So topically, a quarter of a drop is hard enough to get to. You better dilute it so you can get a quarter of a drop. But that's all you need. Cats are so incredible. They're sensitive. They're sensitive to everything, not just essential oils. They're sensitive to herbs. They're obviously sensitive to medications. They're sensitive to the cleaners in the house, which is why we don't want chemicals in our house. So all of these things, they're sensitive creatures. You only need a little itty bitty bit for cats. And that also makes them so incredibly easy to work with. Has anybody done kitty raindrop? Nobody's done kitty raindrop? Oh, easiest thing in the world. You take one of your old 15 ml bottles, and the recipe you can find online or in one of the reference books. I don't have it memorized. But basically, it's mostly V6, and it's drops of each of the essential oils in the raindrop minus the Valor. The Valor gets put on separately. And then you simply drop about 3 to 5 drops, depending upon the size of your cat, and you pet it into their fur. That is all you do. Kitty raindrops are amazing. Cats love it. Cats don't love massage. Cats don't love, all the things that we do. Cats really don't like usually laser treatments. They like acupuncture. They like some of those things, but they're not necessarily into a lot of handling, right? The cats that I've given the raindrops to, they love them. So it's the easiest thing to do. And again, everything that the raindrop does for you and me, it's what it does for our animals too. So the raindrop is a really powerful tool. I'm hoping we get to do it when we come out in March to visit, because everybody who has animals, this is my favorite way to support my animals' overall wellness. During the winter time, my horses, they get a raindrop normally about once a month. They're on a I call it my maintenance dose of raindrops. And there's a lot of benefits besides just the fact that you're working, putting all the oils into them. They relax and they start to release. You guys are animal owners. I'm assuming you guys are animal lovers because you're on tonight's call. I'm assuming I'm preaching to the choir here when I say our animals have emotions just like we do. They hold emotions just like we do. If you've ever given or received a raindrop where you've seen an emotional release, sometimes laughing or unexplained crying will happen after a raindrop. believe it or not, that same kind of response can happen with animals. It is the most incredible thing in the world to see, and a little bit scary. I'll be flat out honest here. A little bit scary. The first time you do a raindrop on a horse and they have an emotional release. That happened. I started out doing raindrops on horses. I got all full of myself, thought I knew something, right? You know, I'm like, I gave 10 raindrops on horses. I'm an expert now. So I went and did an offer. A friend of mine had an eventing barn, and she had a lot of school horses. So I said, I want to come and gift your horses raindrops. So I show up late at night, because obviously it had to be after all the schooling was over. So it was like 9 o'clock on a weekday night. I was the only one in the barn. I pulled out one of her big, nice horses. I mean, big, good, nice horse, like one of her really favored horses. So I'm like, I'm going to do a raindrop on this horse. They're going to be so happy with me. So I just start to do this raindrop, and I get about halfway through, and I made 2 big mistakes. First of all, I didn't understand raindrops at that point. Second, for those of you who don't know horses, a lot of times we'll pull them out of their stall into the aisleway, and we'll attach them to these chains from the wall, and those are called cross ties. And I pulled this horse out, and I put them in these cross ties, which are holding onto their halter, which keeps them in the space. This horse all of a sudden started heaving. I mean, like he just ran the Kentucky Derby. He was absolutely heaving, rocking back and forth. I thought he was getting ready to bolt. I thought I was killing their horse. I didn't understand that, you know, allergic reactions, we really don't, that's not a thing for us. I didn't understand that. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I get this horse off of the chains, and they had this big, beautiful indoor arena, and I'm trotting, and this horse is just walking big strides. We get around this arena, so we're walking about 3 or 4 minutes. We walked like 2 or 3 times around. All of a sudden, he gave this big, huge sigh, fell asleep. Just fell asleep right there, just standing. I'm in the middle of the arena. Yeah, laugh. I was not laughing, honest to goodness, guys. Oh my gosh. See, if you want to talk about how to do things wrong, I've got lots of those stories too. So I'm standing there like shaking, going, because I thought I had just about killed my friend's really nice horse. And then all of a sudden I hear this truck drive up, and it was my sister, because she's the one who was teaching me about this. She knew where I was going to be. So she comes trotting in, and so the owner of the farm, my friend, comes trotting in, and they're all just jacking away. And I must have looked a fright, because they both stopped and were like, what happened? And so I explained to them what happened. And my sister just starts laughing at me and going, look, that's just an emotional release. Like, what? What? She's like, yeah. And sure enough, I talked to Laura the next day. The horse unbeknownst to me, that horse was having a few issues during lessons. The horse was doing great the next day, wasn't refusing jumps. I don't know. Can't make claims here, but it was the most enlightening time of my life. If you haven't done raindrops on your animals, or if you work with rescues, because I know a lot of us animal lovers end up doing rescues, bless them with a raindrop, and then just let it be, and just watch them. It's the most amazing thing. So you can help the animals in so many ways, just by offering some simple things. So before, and I know I'm going to go long. I'm sorry, Skyla, but there's like a couple favorite things that not everybody necessarily thinks of, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to use lavender. You know how to use lavender. But I will tell you, when they came out with this, I swear Gary had horse owners and performance dog owners in mind. Now, I love the Cool Azul pain cream for me. I think it's awesome for me. I prefer this for our animals. I hope they never stop making this, because this has an arnica base. This is amazing. It isn't a cream base. It isn't a fatty oil base, so it doesn't make the hair sticky. So if you want to help support, hips and as we all get older, we just like a little more support in certain areas, get this out. This is over 10% by volume Cool Azul essential oil. If you guys have gone through the list of what's in Cool Azul, that is the most amazing blend for our joints. I love it. So comes in an arnica base. It is like made for us animal owners. And you can use this on any size. Obviously, if you're going to use it on a small dog, I haven't had a lot of need for it on small dogs, but you're going to use like not even a pea. And I tell you, I use this on my horse's hocks, and I use not even a nickel's worth. So not even a nickel, and that covers the entire hock. It is amazing stuff. And then the other thing that I love, we all say, everybody's like, oh, we don't have anything for the barn. I'm telling you, Gary's a horseman, guys. He's like everything he does. This is amazing in your barn. And doing, a few years ago, I got into doing some research. I was doing a few presentations on the health of our horse barns. Not the horses, but the horse barns. And there's this environmentalist guy who happens to be a chemical engineer or environmentalist, right? The guys who clean up the environment, and a horseman. And he wrote an article, and I have it if you guys want it. He wrote an article and said, we think we're going out to nature when we go to our barn, and yet it's actually one of the most toxic places we can be, because we keep gas in our barns. We keep fly sprays that say don't inhale. Well, I don't know how you put a fly spray on without it getting in the air, because you spray it. Everybody's inhaling it. I mean, we put all these chemicals in our barn, and yet we think it's natural. Most of the time, there's nothing natural. So you can, with the oils you already have, if you don't have horses, if you know people who have horses, walk through their barn with them sometime, pick up a few, just like we do with our toothpaste, right? Pick up a few of the cans that they got in their barn and ask them to look through the ingredients. And now one real scary thing before I wrap up, and I shouldn't end up on a scary note, but this is probably the most concerning to me. Because most of our animals, luckily, the animals that we're working with, are not for human consumption. The products that we use on them they are not required by any law to actually label them completely. They don't have to put all the chemicals even on the label. They only have to do that if it's going to be used for human consumption. So all of the fly sprays that I used for 40 years on my horses, I go back now and I look at those cans in the tax stores, and I'm like, oh my God, all they do is they put inert ingredients and the ones that work and the ones that don't work. And they have like 3 lines. And yet there's probably 100 different chemicals in there. So most of the time, in fact, we don't even know what we're using on our animals. And to me, that is the scariest part. Most of the time with the humans, right, our human products, we can, there's a big, long list, and we may not like that list, but we know it, right? We can sit there and make a choice based on what we see. Most of your animal products, you can't make a choice based on what you see. So it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about making sure people know, because it's not only just knowing that, we have these wonderful oils to use on our animals, but it's also knowing that some of the stuff that they're currently using on their animals, they don't even understand the damage that they're causing. So those were the highlights. I'm sorry. I get a little bit on my soapbox on that one. Sorry. But I know if anybody has as much as we can answer in these environments, I'm happy to answer whatever questions we can.
Thank you so much. I feel like you've just whet my appetite. Like, I want to hear more. That's awesome. I'm going to go back to the chat box real quick, because there were a couple of good questions in here. Let's see. First of all, somebody said, do you use the same oils for dogs, which I'm pretty sure that you do, for the raindrop?
Yes.
Okay. And can you mix them in a bottle the same way that you were talking about for the cats? Is that typical, or would you do them separately like on a human?
Depends upon the size. Like Mocha, I treat her just like
Just
a cat.
like a cat. Okay.
But Raleigh, he's a 75-pound dog. I do the dog raindrop on him,
Okay.
which is individual drops.
Perfect. Perfect. And let's see. It seems like there were a couple more here.
You know, you had a good question on your post the other day. Somebody was talking about they had a behavioral issue with, I can't remember if it was a cat or a dog, licking their stomach raw.
Yes.
And that's because that's common. We get that a lot. And lavender is your best friend. 2 reasons. Lavender is going to help calm them, right? So, and if you're concerned about them, you know, you can use the lavender vitality, right? Because if they get it internally, that's vitality oil. So of course, with a cat, I do dilute it. I like coconut oil, honestly. You can get the fractionated coconut oil, the fluidy one, and I'll dilute it and I'll rub that on the stomach because there's 2 things that happen. Right, it's going to calm the skin down because if you're there licking it, they've irritated the skin. It's going to help with that. It's going to help calm them down emotionally, but it's also going to discourage them from licking because they don't normally like the smell of lavender right up against their nose. So you kind of get all of these areas addressed with one oil. It's easy. It's and you're going to have to do it daily, right? Just like with us, it absorbs. But once you get into doing that, you can actually really help her get past her issues.
That's genius. I love it. Does anybody else have questions? Maybe things that you've been asked by team members, yourself, and you were like, oh, I don't know the answer to that, or things that you're wrestling with at home?
And that trick with the lavender to keep cats or dogs from licking, if any dog or cat comes home with that cone of shame, because the vet is worried about them, you know, under supervision to make sure it works. But my cats and dogs have not had to use one of those, even after any of, you know, getting fixed or.
Nice.
You know, they won't touch those areas once I put that lavender on.
That's awesome. Okay, can you talk to us a little bit about the Animal Sense line of oils? Do you favor those at all, or are there certain times when those might be more appropriate than just a regular line of oils?
Yes. I love these for the small animals.
Okay.
These are, for me, these are perfect for cats, already pre-diluted with the coconut oil. We don't have to worry or have the concerns, and their names tell you how to use them. So Mocha, my little dog that I treat like a cat, that's what I use on her. All of the cats, a lot of times, because especially Paragize is so easy to use, right? I just put it right on their tummy, helps them out, and I don't have to worry about, you know, diluting my Digize or an Aroma Ease. I just go ahead and put it right in. So for ease of use, it's number 1. If you don't have them, though, don't think you can't work with the animals.
Okay. Perfect.
For big dogs, and I've never used them on horses.
Okay, yeah, because they're just too diluted. I will tell you one of my favorite tips that I learned, I think it was last spring, from one of our fellow diamonds, Chelsea Morgan Humphreys, threw out a post one day about this amazing blend of oils, and she listed all of the things that were in it, and it was some of our biggest heavy hitters. And she said, in terms of diffusing, you can get so much support out of this. And I'm looking at all the individual oils, which I can't remember at the moment. You can look it up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. What just happened? There, we're sharing a screen. And it turns out that it was Tea Away from the Animal Sense line at only, I think it's $16.50 a bottle. And you get all of these amazing options, which were just crazy wonderful. So that was pretty fun. Okay, Mary Aubrey, thank you for sharing your screen. If you have the ability to turn that off, you sure can. And if not, that's okay. We can go with it. We're easy.
That's a nice white screen. I like it.
Yeah, I know. Just think of it as a blank slate for your new animal and oil adventure. Right on. Okay. Can you talk to us briefly about bladder support in a dog? how would you recommend supporting a healthy bladder?
The same way I do with people. And the number one thing for supporting our bladder is K&B tincture.
Right.
And K&B tincture, beautiful thing about working with dogs is they don't look at that and go, oh my God, it's slimy. They just eat it right up. Horses and dogs are so easy to work with because I feed longevity to my horses, and I don't know if you guys have smelled that recently, but longevity and Immupower, not the best smelling oils in the world. They'll eat it right up. So I use the oils that are supportive. So I love to use the K&B tincture. Lemongrass has been supportive. So we use just any of the things that when you look up in your reference guide, that help to support. The thing to remember when you're working with this canine is what's the size, right? And to start off small. A little bit more frequently is better than a lot all at once. So especially anytime you want to support any of the filter organs, what you want to do is kind of have a little bit going throughout the day. So supporting the bladder really comes down to using, feeding good foods, right? Things that are not highly processed, just like you and I. The more processed an animal's food is, the harder it is on the filter organs. And if you're going to use oils or the supplements to help support that, what you want to do is give a few times or as many times as you can throughout the day to keep a little bit kind of cleansing all the time. And that's the best way to really start with working with supporting.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you. Okay, let's do one more question. Carrie asks, my sister gets some really stressed out dogs in the vet clinic, naturally. What would be the best to support their emotional state when they come in? She does have Valor right now. So
Valor is a really good one. Just if she's allowed to diffuse, honestly, TOA, the one that we just talked about, that is amazing. TOA with a drop of 2 of any of the chamomiles or peace and calming if you like. Sometimes peace and calming, depending, some people love it, some people are not that crazy about it. Lavender, depending again, if you like that. Pick a calming oil blend or single and add that in with the TOA and diffuse. That is, I think, the best way to help everybody just chill out and calm down in the vet office. If it's an oily vet, then the vet can ask the pet parent if they can apply some of Valor to the animal.
Nice.
That's the best way then, but again, that depends on how integrated they are at the office.
I love it. Oh my goodness, so many good tips. Thank you so very much. And you guys, if you loved this and all of the energy and the excitement that this has created in you, I just want you to mark your calendars because we are lucky enough to have Yvonne and Wayne both coming the weekend of March 23rd and 24th. So Britta is putting on her annual SOAR event, and she opens that up to all of Team Young Living. SOAR is an acronym for something, and if you're on Britta's team, type in what that is, because for the life of me, I honestly can't remember, and she would shoot me if she knew that, but I don't know what it stands for. It's something brilliant. Something about achieving results, but I don't remember the first part. So anyway, that's a question for another night. But SOAR is March 23rd and 24th, and there's going to be events Friday night and Saturday, and they will involve live animals, and I'm pretty stoked about that. So
if you're more than just us talking about animals, so
yes,
for everybody.
It will. Yeah, it's a very well-rounded weekend. So if you're able, I know that not everybody here lives in Central Iowa, but if you want to start planning now, just come to Des Moines for spring break. I mean, that's what all the cool kids do. So just plan on it. Iowa in March is beautiful.
if you're coming from Chicago, we'll carpool.
Right.
It's all good.
Why not? So that will be fantastic. We would love to have you.
Can't wait.
Any other closing words of wisdom?
Have fun with the oils. I mean, seriously, that's just the best way, and never, and especially right now, I hope you guys all have the diffusers going 24/7, because it's like, this is the season to always have that thing going. So have fun with it, and see what your animals respond to.
I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. This was wonderful. What a great introduction for new people, and great reassurance for those of us that have been oiling for a while. You guys are on the right track. So Merry Christmas.
It was nice seeing you guys.
Good to see you too. And you guys, next week on Thursday Night Live, if you want to come back, we are going to be doing a special goal setting Thursday Night Live. That's not true. Hang on. Cancel that. Sorry. I just looked at my calendar. That's what I have in my head. But you know what? The goal setting is on Saturday night, and it's actually live and in person at Transformation Headquarters. It's the Envision event. So you can come. It's an open house from 5 until 9. I do apologize. Next Thursday night, there is going to be a sleek class, and I will see if I can manage this both live and in person at Transformation Headquarters and on Zoom. So will you just hang tight, and I think I can make this work. But Britta and I will be teaching the sleek class together at Transformation Headquarters. So come and join us in person if you can. But if you can't, I'll figure out a way to get it on here for Thursday Night Live, and then everybody wins. So there you go. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us. Please give my regards to Wayne.
Absolutely. He says hi.
All right. Very good. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.